Naloxone is a really important tool, especially nowadays with our opiate crisis. And I think that unfortunately a lot of people are in positions with addiction and things that people that we don't even know are fighting that addiction. Where it's big is family members, things in the community that when people unfortunately do overdose, whether it's with heroin and things like that, that it's accessible because it's so important and we have such a small time frame or threshold that if we can get to them in time, that we are able to bring them back. So a lot of times first responders aren't there real quickly. So if we have it, whether it's community or family members, things like that, it makes it very important for that time to be able to bring them back for them to survive.
Well, naloxone is incredibly important. It saves lives first and foremost. We've carried that in the law enforcement first responder community for some time. Now that it's able to be in the hands of family members who have children or loved ones that are addicted to these opiates, it interrupts the effects of an opiate overdose and it buys time. And what that does is by having this naloxone available and by administering naloxone, it gives that much needed window for first responders to get there, seek treatment, and get these folks to the hospitalization. So it's just a great tool.
It's extremely important for someone assisting with the administration of naloxone to call 911 because we need to get help on the way immediately. The medication really stops the overdose. It takes you down off that high, but you could have an immediate relapse back into it again. So you have to have intervention and medically trained personnel there to assist you.
Naloxone is a life-saving medication that temporarily blocks the effects of an opioid overdose. It is important for both opioid consumers, loved ones, community members, and professionals who may come into contact with opioid consumers. Learning how to properly administer naloxone in its various forms can mean the difference between life and death. The term opioid is used to describe the entire family of opiates, including natural, synthetic, and semi-synthetic. Opioids are a medication or drug that is derived from the opium poppy. These drugs are narcotic sedatives that depress activity of the central nervous system, reduce pain, and induce sleep. Examples include morphine, methadone, codeine, heroin, fentanyl, oxycodone, and hydrocodone. Over the course of this film, you will learn how to recognize the signs of an opioid overdose, check an individual to assess their current state, administer naloxone, as well as additional steps to ensure that the individual is properly cared for afterwards. Signs of an opioid overdose include unresponsive, unconscious, blue lips, Caucasian individuals only, foaming at the mouth, loud snoring or gurgling sounds, slow or shallow breathing or not breathing. The first step when encountering an individual you think might be experiencing an opioid overdose is to apply the Scare Me method. Scare Me is an acronym that can help you remember the steps when in such a situation. S stands for stimulate. Shout or use knuckle rub on person's chest or sternum to get a response. If no response, seek medical attention immediately. C means to call 911. Report that the person is unconscious or not breathing and may be experiencing a possible overdose. This kit is not a substitute for calling 911. A is for airway. Check the person's airway for an obstruction by pulling chin down, looking in mouth, and possibly scooping away any obstructions. Do not blindly sweep fingers in mouth. Use gloves if available. R means rescue breathing. If person is unresponsive, start rescue breathing with rescue mask. Place one hand on their forehead and the other hand behind neck and then tilt their head back. While still supporting their neck, pinch their nose and give 2 quick breaths. Then give 1 breath every 5 seconds. Continue until medical help arrives or person becomes responsive. E is for evaluate. After several breaths, if the person is responding or awake, do not medicate, wait for EMS. If the person is not responding, prepare naloxone. Continue to do rescue breathing while preparing the kit. M means to medicate with naloxone muscular injection or intranasal spray, depending on your kit. Either inject naloxone into a large muscle or spray naloxone into the individual's nostril. We will cover this process in detail later on. E means to evaluate. If individual is responsive, place them on their left side until help arrives. If unresponsive after 4 minutes, administer a second dose. Continue rescue breathing until medical help arrives. If the person becomes responsive, try to not let them use more drugs. Naloxone is a medication that temporarily blocks the effects of opioids. There are 2 types of naloxone: nasal spray and intramuscular. To administer nasal naloxone, also known as Narcan, follow these steps. 1. Hold nasal spray with thumb on bottom of plunger and first and middle finger on either side of nozzle. Do not press plunger to test or prime device. Doing so will be wasting all of the dosage. 2. Tilt person's head back and provide support under the neck with hand. 3. Gently insert tip of nozzle in one of the nostrils until your fingers, positioned on either side of device, are pressed up against the person's nose. 4. Administer dosage and remove nozzle from the nostril. 5. If no reaction in 3 to 5 minutes, give the second dose opposite nostril and continue rescue breathing. When administering intramuscular naloxone, follow these steps. 1. If person is unresponsive or breathing less than 10 times per minute, administer a few quick breaths before injection. 2. Use syringe provided with your naloxone kit, a 1 1/2 inch intramuscular needle. 3. Pop off the orange top vial. 4. Draw up 1 cc of naloxone into the syringe. 5. Inject into a large muscle. The upper thighs or upper shoulders are the best locations. 6. After injection, continue rescue breathing 2 to 3 minutes. 7. If person is still unresponsive, administer another dose of naloxone to a different injection site and continue rescue breathing. If the second dose does not revive them, they may need additional dose, or they may not be experiencing an opioid overdose. 8. Once naloxone has been administered, continue rescue breathing until help arrives, or the person becomes responsive. Naloxone lasts between 30 to 90 minutes in the body, while the effects of the opioids may last much longer. It could wear off while the overdose is still present and require an additional dose of naloxone. It is important that someone stays with the person until medical professionals can take over. Remember, SCARE ME stands for S. Stimulate, C. Call 911, A. Airway, R. Rescue breathing, E. Evaluate, M. Medicate, E. Evaluate or support. Kit maintenance. Store at room temperature and keep out of direct sunlight. If your kit expires, return to your nearest naloxone provider for a free replacement. Naloxone kits are available throughout the community through partner organizations. Knowing how to recognize a potential overdose and properly administer naloxone can save lives. By following the steps laid out in SCARE ME and preparing yourself with a naloxone kit, you can do your part to help someone in a dire situation. If you or someone you know is in need of mental health and substance abuse treatment or recovery services, please call the Region 10 Access Center to access services in your area. 1-888-245-4447.